Fauci Ouchie. The health bureaucrat says he's bothered by the truth. Hello, free citizens. This is John Strand at America's Frontline Doctors, bringing you the latest Frontline Flash. Tony Fauci, director of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, revealed in a deposition last month he is bothered by the health and civil rights organization America's Frontline Doctors, and that he finds statements made by AFLDS on early coronavirus treatments to be troublesome. The deposition, which lasted 7 hours, is part of a lawsuit filed in May by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt and Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry. The complaint alleges a collusion enterprise between the federal government and social media companies during the coronavirus pandemonium of the last several years, based on previously revealed internal emails. A judge ruled in favor of deposing top Biden officials, including former White House Press Secretary Jen Circleback Psaki, current Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, and the ever-present Fauci. A transcript of Fauci's deposition revealed that the public health czar has little remembrance or awareness of much of the coronavirus controversies. Fauci used the term, "I don't recall," 174 times, and said he is, quote, "not aware of suppression of speech on social media," end quote. Okay. He was grilled on several issues, including his opposition to effective early treatments, such as hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. When questioned about HCQ, the National Institutes of Health official falsely claimed, a notable pattern for Fauci, that HCQ's effectiveness against the coronavirus is, quote, "based on no data," end quote, and is misinformation. Quote, "If one propagates this concept that hydroxychloroquine is highly effective, and people take it based on that information, which is incorrect, yes, that would be misinformation or even disinformation that could lead people to take a drug that would not help them, that could possibly hurt them," end quote, he told prosecuting attorney John Sauer. Mind you, he's speaking of hydroxychloroquine, available over the counter in much of the world, significantly safer than Tylenol. It's quite literally one of the safest drugs on the planet. Fauci also claimed that studies have proven HCQ to be unsafe and ineffective, but failed to mention the flaws and even some fraud discovered in those studies. Then, after Fauci suggested the entire medical community was in agreement about HCQ, Sauer asked him about America's Frontline Doctors. Quote, "Were you aware there was a group of doctors who posted a video in front of the Supreme Court touting what they perceived as the benefits of hydroxychloroquine?" Sauer asked. Fauci at first did not remember. "I don't recall," he said, somewhere on his way to the 174th repetition of that statement. Sauer reminded Fauci of comments he'd made on Good Morning America in 2020 in response to the AFLDS Supreme Court press conference, where he claimed HCQ is ineffective at treating COVID-19. Then Fauci's memory returned. Quote, "I do recall a group of doctors that were in front of the Supreme Court. I guess there were 6 or 7 of them. One, I believe, was an African-American woman, female physician if I'm not mistaken," Fauci said, referring to Dr. Stella Emanuel. He continued, "I think that's the group. I don't precisely recall what they were talking about, but I know that in general, the people who were watching that were concerned. I don't recall specifically what they were saying, but there was some concern about the accuracy of what they were saying," end quote. Sauer then cited similar comments by Fauci on Fox News and MSNBC, where he stated that AFLDS was, quote, "people spouting something that isn't true," end quote. Fauci told Sauer that what was being said on the Supreme Court steps in many respects didn't make much medical sense and was really quite unorthodox. Fauci also claimed that there was a lot of negative response to AFLDS by most of the medical community. When Sauer asked how he knew that, Fauci said a poll of physicians in established medical centers throughout the country would show that. When pressed further by Sauer, Fauci admitted that not only was there no such poll, but he was only able to name one group, the National Institutes of Health COVID-19 Treatment Guidelines Panel. That would be the NIH, which Fauci directs. Sauer then showed Fauci a news article reporting that the video of the Supreme Court press conference was quickly erased by Twitter, Google, YouTube, and Facebook. But by the time Facebook removed it, it had garnered 17 million views in less than 8 hours. Quote, 17 million people watching that video. Would that bother you? Sauer asked. Quote, "It would likely bother me if a very large number of people were given information that was not only based on no data, but in which data actually showed that those statements were untrue," answered Fauci. "As a physician who takes care of patients and cares about the health of patients, I think that information that spreads falseness not based on data, as a physician, that would be troublesome to me," he continued. What does troublesome mean? Would I do anything about it? not necessarily at all. But it's just I don't like false information that hurts patients, end quote. Meanwhile, some true information. There are over 300 verified studies showing early treatment works, including significant positive results from both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Even the FDA finally admitted in court that they never officially condemned their use. Not only AFLES, but many other credible and common-sense physicians around the world have documented many thousands of successful recoveries using the information that was so bothersome to Fauci. It seems the truth is quite troublesome for those invested in other pursuits. Ladies and gentlemen, the real story of right now continues, coming soon on the next Frontline Flash.